Hi everyone, it's me Krista. Welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. If not, welcome for the very first time to my little art corner here on YouTube. Today we are doing Inktober prompt number 9, which happens to be throw. For this project, I had a little bit of help with an idea because I'm not gonna lie, I was stumped. I wasn't sure at all what to draw for throw. My boyfriend was kind enough to say, hey, why don't you draw an axe? He meant just drawing like an axe spinning, but made me think of axe throwing, and that's how we got here. At this point in the drawing, I'm just getting in my sketch, using a little circle stencil to get in these circles, and utilizing the straight edges of it to get some straight lines, because I can't draw straight lines. I also decided for this one I wanted to finally pull in some of the items I got in the October SketchBox. The only thing I didn't use that came in that box was the Hanmul Sumier paper pad. After I got my sketch in, I start using the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen, the one that's just a medium regular liner, not the brush tip one. And I am just going over the parts that I want to keep from my sketch with this because I know it will stay if I put any media on top of it. It is waterproof, and once it's dry, it will not budge. I'm still using my circle stencil in order to get my straight edges in and to get my circles in. I did want to make sure that I included the target in the drawing itself because I think having that target there helps imply that he is indeed throwing this axe. He's just not holding it up about to hit something with it. He's about to just throw it so it hits something. And I did lie. I didn't use the paper or the brush that came in this October box. Sorry about that. I'm just using a Tombow water brush to apply that ink. The Kuretake Zig ink stick is really interesting to use. I like the idea of it. I like being able to scrape some of it off into the little container area and then adding water as I please. I actually would just spray it down with a spray water bottle like I would with watercolors and then just move the ink stick over that. The only complaint I have about it is that it doesn't get very dark. Obviously it looks a little darker when it's applied, but as soon as it dries it lightens up a lot. I ended up pulling in some other items later to help get some of my darker midtones in and then my deepest tones. For the area around the target, that wall is black, and for that I'm just using the Higgins India Ink Soft Liner Brush Pen. I love this. I've liked most of the India ink pens I have, but I think this one's my favorite. I'm pretty sure it's just because of that brush tip. It applies a lot like a marker, and I think that's why I like it. I can get in some finer detail areas and then fill up a large space pretty easily with this guy. I tried to layer it up quite a bit on the parts where I'm using the ink stick. It layered okay, it just still didn't darken up quite as much as I wanted it to. I cheat by pulling in some of those Marabu Graphix markers that are in the grays that I got in the September Palette Full Packs box. And that actually layered pretty well over the inks that I have here already. So that helped. And then to get some of the deeper tones in, I ended up using the India ink pen and mixing water in with that and using the water brush to kind of pull it out so I could get some darker shading going on. So it does seem like the Kuretake Zig ink stick, it works well with other kinds of markers because those Marabu ones are actually alcohol-based. And sometimes when you layer alcohol-based markers on top of water-soluble media, it can get a little funky. They played well together for this, so that's awesome. Inktober has been pretty interesting so far. A lot of the stuff I've done is stuff that I would probably have done otherwise, but something like this is a drawing that I would have probably never done without having the Inktober prompt for throw, and without my boyfriend suggesting using an axe for the throw part. Some of the prompts can be challenging to get ideas for or to execute, but what I do really love about Inktober is that it pushes me to step outside of my little box of what I would normally paint or draw, and this is definitely one of those pieces that I would have never done otherwise. I did end up using the Edding Soft White Pastel pen for a couple of the highlights in here. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't think it blends very well with the other items, and if you layer on top of it at all, it gets really muddy and just chalky looking, which I guess I should figure out since it says pastel pen. Haha, haha. It's also not quite as opaque as I want it to be. I pulled in the red just for the little center of the target area, the bullseye. That is the Speedball acrylic ink in Scarlet. I love speedball inks for painting, especially the acrylic ones. I'm used to using acrylic paint though, and I think that's at least partially why. I like how opaque it is if you don't mix a lot of water in it, but the more water you add, the more you can light it up quite a bit and make it almost like a watercolor type of effect. I don't do it as often anymore, but I do like having a pop of color with a bunch of grayscale. At this point of the drawing, it's when I was deciding that, hey, wait a minute, it looks a little light all over with just the ink stick, so this is when I start pulling in the Marabu markers to help get some deeper midtones going on. And like I said earlier, I also end up pulling in that Higgins India Ink Softliner brush pen and mixing it with water to help get some of the deeper midtones to deeper darks. I also pull in the Winsor & Newton pigment marker I have. This one's just the white blender to help blend out some of the lighter areas and lighten up some of the areas that I feel need lightened up a bit. The paper I am using, because I have not mentioned that at all, is the Strathmore Watercolor Postcards. It is just a 4x6. I want to make sure that I use a pretty thick watercolor paper for an application like this. I should have taped it down too, because I didn't. It did get a little curly around the edges. Not too bad, but if you're doing something like this, you want to make sure you're using a watercolor paper that's kind of sturdy and that you have it taped down. You can't see this, but I do talk with my hands a lot, and when I just said that, I did like a little thumbs up. You guys can't see it, but I feel like I need to describe it to you, so you get it. Thumbs up, man. For the target, I did want it to look like it was put together with a couple of different pieces of wood, so I'm making lines with various little things in order to give that concept going on. And at this point, it's when I start using the Higgins ink pen and mixing it with the water brush to get some of the deeper tones. I think it looks better this way. Does it look perfect? No. Does it look like it has a little bit more tones going on than it did before? Yes. Yes, it does. And with that, this project, and therefore this video, is pretty much done. If you liked it, please hit that like button. If you have any comments, questions, feelings, concerns, or you want to let me know what you're doing for Inktober, let me know all about that in my comment section down below. If you would like to see more videos like this, I'm going to be doing Inktober projects every day for the month of October. Please feel free to subscribe. As always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day or night to watch this video and listen to me ramble. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you guys soon, and you'll definitely be hearing from me soon. Bye, everybody!